Welcome back. So in addition to creating measures that produce aggregate values to display in our pivot tables, sometimes it's also useful to be able to rank those values and display the ranking alongside the value. For example, let's say we want a breakout of profit by product name, but would also like to see each respective product's profit ranked relative to the others. And as you can see, that's basically the view we have here. We have the overall profit for each product, but then next to that profit is where that product's profit ranks relative to all the other products. And going all the way down to row 19, we see that our shortboard has $1.6 million in sales, meaning that it's ranked number 1. Now this kind of view is yet another thing that would have been next to impossible in a traditional pivot table, but can nonetheless be achieved with a single DAX formula. Let's see how. So our first step towards replicating that view will be to create a simple pivot table with product on rows and profit on values. So I'll create that. And now that we have our pivot table set up, we'll add a new measure that I'll call product rank by profit. And our goal again is to display alongside each product where its profit ranks relative to all the other products. So we'll go to our Power Pivot tab once more, Measures, New Measure, and again we'll call it Product Rank by Profit. And then for our formula, we're going to use a DAX function specifically designed for these kinds of problems called RANKX. So I'll start by typing that out. And as you can see, much like SUMX and the other X functions, the first argument is a table. And while technically you can just use a plain old table in this first argument, the vast majority of the time, you're actually going to want in this very first argument to use the all function, and then feed that all function whatever column it is that has the values we're trying to rank. So I know that might sound a little bit weird, but let me explain why. So RANKX ranks within the current filter context of the pivot table, which is to say for any given row in our pivot, RANKX does its ranking based on the filter context for that particular set of coordinates. So that means if we don't modify the filter context that our RANKX function is looking at, for the first row of our pivot table, for example, the row for balls aboard, we'll be ranking it against just the filter context for that particular row, which is balls aboard. So balls aboard, of course, will always be ranked number 1 of all the products that are balls aboards. So the solution then is to use the all function to wipe out that filter context. So now our RANKX function is free to rank balls aboard among all the different products listed. The general format here is going to be, if you want to rank something with RANKX, you want that thing to be in your pivot table. You want that field that contains the values you're trying to rank in your pivot, but then in the table argument of your RANKX function, you want to take that very same field and feed it to the all function. So now each individual set of coordinates in your pivot is free to rank the value at that set of coordinates against all the other values, because now you've removed the filter that that field would otherwise apply to each cell of the pivot. In short, you're using all to override the filter context in the pivot table so that the RANKX function is free to rank each of our products among the entire group of products and not just the product itself. So now that we understand why we would use all, we'll type out all. And then again, we want to feed the all function the same column that we're trying to rank. So that would be the name column from the products table. And now the second argument is basically the basis of your ranking. It's the calculation or measure that you want to rank these products by. So in our case, we're ranking them by profit, so the profit measure will be our second argument. And these two arguments, the table and the expression, are the only two mandatory arguments that RANKX takes, and most of the time they're all you'll need. So for now, we'll close our parenthesis. And then because this measure is going to return a number that represents the rank, we'll format it as a number and then a whole number. And we don't expect these numbers to get terribly large, so we won't use a 1000 separator. And now we'll click OK. And then we'll drag our new measure into our pivot. And there we have it. We have replicated the view we saw at the beginning of the video. Shortboard is still ranked number 1, and just scanning the profit by product, it looks like it is far and away our most profitable product. So this is already a very useful view, but you might be wondering how this RANKX function is going to work if we add more layers to our pivot table. So let's say, for example, we want to add product category to our pivot above product name. Well, let's drag that in and see what happens. Very cool. So now our ranking is working within each product category. So instead of the products being ranked 1 through however many products there are, they're instead being ranked 1 through however many products are in a particular category. And then the ranking starts over again in the second category, and so on. So within just the category of beach supplies, beach chair is ranked number 1. Within just the category of riding supplies, skateboard is number 1, and so on. Now this is happening because while the all function we used as the first argument of our RANKX function overrode the filter context coming from our product name column, it still isn't overriding the filter context coming from our product category column. So as far as our RANKX function is concerned, the only filter context coming from the pivot is that product category. And that's why its current behavior is to rank all of these products within each product category. Now you might be wondering, what if you still wanted to keep that 1 through however many products we have ranking across all of the different product categories instead of within the product categories? Which is to say that if we see a number 1, we know that's our number 1 product overall, not just our number 1 product within a certain category. Well, to accomplish that, all you would have to do is add the product category field as a second argument to our all function. So just to prove that to you, let's go back into the measure and then select our product rank measure. And in our all function, we'll add product category. And then check formula and click OK. And now if we scroll down, we have the same ranking paradigm that we had before I even added product category to the pivot. So now when you see the rank of a product here, you know that it's the overall rank irrespective of product category. Now sometimes you might want this, but from my experience, the most useful type of view in a pivot table with multiple layers would involve ranking within each of those categories and not across all the categories. So I'll actually go back into our measure and change it back to the way we had it before. So we'll just remove product category as the second argument to all. And now we're back to this nice view we had before. Now it's also worth noting, just for clarity, how the RANKX function determines what values get a higher rank versus what values get a lower rank. By default, larger values are ranked higher, just as you see here. Our most profitable product in each category gets ranked number 1, the second most profitable gets ranked number 2, and so on. Now you can customize this behavior in one of the optional arguments of RANKX, but the vast majority of the time you'll want to rank larger values higher, which is why that's the default. Alright, up next we'll take a look at one more DAX function that puts a different spin on the whole ranking thing. I'll see you then.